Well, hello, my YouTube friends. There's a lot of instructional videos on YouTube and a lot of gun handling videos. And one issue that I'm not seeing addressed is decocking a double action revolver. Okay, this particular gun here is a Smith & Wesson Model 25. Apparently it's from their classic series, and so it's relatively new. Okay, so decocking a double action revolver. Let's say you're at the range or you're at home, or for some reason you've got the hammer back and you don't want to fire the gun. You decide not to fire the weapon and you want to render it safe. And this presumes that you have a loaded cylinder, right? If it's like this one with no bullets in it, all you got to do is just, pull the trigger, let it go forward. But if you have a loaded gun and you happen to have the hammer cocked, now you want to render it safe. Okay, I'm going to hold the gun. You're going to watch this gap right there, the cylinder frame gap, because you do not want the firing pin protruding in there. Now here's what you're going to do. You're going to, with your thumb, you're going to control the hammer, either on the spur, get a good grip on it, or you can even kind of go forward. This hammer is flat. That means it has a frame-mounted firing pin. So you're going to control the hammer. With your finger, you're going to pull the trigger, which is contrary to the basic rules of firearm safety. Keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to fire. But in this case, it's unavoidable because you want to decock a double action revolver. So control the hammer, squeeze the trigger, maintaining control of the hammer. Don't let it fly forward. Okay, and you'll feel the hammer come off the sear. Now, once that happens, maintaining control of the hammer, you release the trigger. Now, as you slowly lower the hammer, the trigger will move forward at the same time. And the hammer will come to rest on whatever mechanism your particular gun uses to keep the hammer off the firing pin. Okay, so let's try that again. You have a loaded weapon, it's cocked, you change your mind about firing it, you want to render it safe. Control the hammer, don't let it fly forward, and pull the trigger. You'll feel the hammer come off the sear. Okay, right there. Now, maintaining control of the hammer, release the trigger. Now you can slowly release the hammer and the trigger moves forward at the same time. All right, now let's try that with a little bit older revolver. This is a Model 19 I've had for many years, and all guns are always loaded. Okay, so how do I unload this gun? Now with double action revolvers, this is typically how you're taught to do it. Okay, well, you make this kind of W and you hold these two middle fingers together and you lay the gun kind of in the palm of your hand with these two fingers on the cylinder. When you push your release, in this case, I'm going to push it forward with those two middle fingers. See, just like that, I'm going to pop it out, and then I'm going to squeeze it. I'm going to maintain control. I got my thumb. You're going to turn it this way. Now, in this case, they came out easily because they're not fired. But you'll have to either use your thumb, right, to go like that, or you can wrap it hard or whatever. But okay, let's try that again. So you're going to unload, you're going to open your revolver, right? You're going to lay it kind of in the palm of your hand with these two fingers, release the cylinder, pop the cylinder out, turn it this way, get rid of the empty cartridge cases, turn it back this way so that when you load it, gravity will hold the rounds in the cylinder and then you close it. Okay, whether you're using a speed loader or whatever, it's still the same thing. Okay, let's move these. Okay, so this is an older gun. It's a 19-6, and for some reason, it's loaded and the hammer's cocked, and I decide not to fire it. You'll notice this one has a hammer-mounted firing pin. So that makes controlling it, right, you can't really, right, you're not going to gouge that into your thumb. So you're probably going to use the spur, but get a good grip on it with your thumb. Okay, now I'm going to hold it so you can see the gap in here. Okay, now controlling the hammer, pull the trigger. You saw it come off the sear. Release the trigger before you lower the hammer. The trigger will move forward. The hammer will come to rest without ever intruding into this gap right here. Okay, so let's try that again. So I want to control the hammer, pull the trigger. Now if I don't release the trigger, and so I'll just lower it really very carefully, very gently and slowly. With the trigger back, the hammer can go all the way forward and you can see the firing pin right there. Even if you lower it very gently, there is spring pressure pushing the firing pin into the primer. Now watch what happens to the firing pin when I release the trigger. See how the hammer springs back? So, loaded gun, you change your mind about firing, you're going to control the hammer, pull the trigger to release the hammer off the sear, release the trigger, and then slowly lower. And you may run into this problem right here. The hammer is kind of stuck in an in-between spot right there. Do not touch the trigger. Remember, the gun is still loaded. There should be, the rim right there, the casing. Just pull the hammer back a little bit. You saw that. And then lower it the rest of the way. And so that's all it is. If you change your mind about firing, one time, control the hammer, release the hammer off the sear, release the trigger, and then slowly lower the hammer, and you'll never, you should never have a problem. All right, my friends, let's check the verse of the day. Hold on a second. Okay, for the verse of the day, we're going to go to the minor prophet Nahum, chapter 1, starting with verse 2. God is jealous, and the Lord revengeth. The Lord revengeth, and is furious. The Lord will take vengeance on his adversaries, and he reserveth wrath for his enemies. The Lord is slow to anger, and great in power, and will not at all acquit the wicked. The Lord hath his way in the whirlwind and in the storm, and the clouds are the dust of his feet. All right, my friends, you have a good day.